Now welcome back to part 39 of Neptunia VIIIR, where today we're going to attempt to try and save the 4 CPUs, but not before I show off something that's now available to us, the bounties. They're some ridiculously high level monsters that you can go out and decide to face at any point from this point onwards. If you can do so, the rewards are amazing. However, you're not beating them now. Just putting it out there, you're not winning against these guys yet. They hit you way too hard, can hit the whole team in one go, and are about 30 levels, well 20 to 30 levels above where you're going to be. So even though they're available now, don't bother really going for them until post game, because all of them are higher levels than what you're going to be prepared for at this point. Now then everyone, are you ready? Yes, please go ahead. Please be careful everyone. And now we have our link between the two dimensions. We can enter and exit the 0 dimension at will. Now that everyone has gone, I will start my work. Ever since the last hole opened, I have seen a few dimensional fluctuations. I just hope it's not foreshadowing disaster. Oh, but Nep Station first, because I've got to end that chapter. Welcome to Nep Station! Hello everyone! Our sister's been kidnapped, so Nepgear and I are hosting. I never thought the premonition would come true. Yeah, something similar happened ages ago, so it's like kind of figures. But I didn't think they'd get captured right after they powered up. Neither did I. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess it's a way of stopping you from having that kind of power straight away. But come on, we only just got the next forms and you immediately strip it from us. Yeah, thanks guys. So that's how I wonder, how they're going to handle it in the 5th game, because the 5th game will obviously be based after this, so they'll have their next forms. How are they going to, you know, make sure we don't have them right from the get-go without nerfing them? Because otherwise it'd be way too powerful and a large chunk of the game would be kind of a joke. Or the game would be brutally difficult to counterbalance it, but then it would kind of demolish any reason to play as someone other than the 4 CPUs. Or alternatively, they could just make the candidates the protagonists again for a while and then just have the goddesses join later on with their godlike powers. I wouldn't mind that if they gave Nepgear, Uni, Rom and Ram the protagonist spotlight again. So this is 0 dimension. This is a pretty dreary place. The building and everything's in shambles. It's kind of scary here. So what do we do now? Do you know where Yuzume might be? Yeah, she has 2 bases, one near the city and one a little further away. I think we should head over that way. By the way, have you mentally prepared yourself for when we meet Uzume? Actually, not in the slightest, so if it seemed like I might lose my composure again. Of course, I'll stab you even if I gotta punch you. Please go easy on me. I'm just joking, come on, let's hurry, show us the way. Right, now this is the cutscene that's supposed to be voiced. I never expected to be reunited with such a familiar face so soon. I should inform Uzume immediately. And I was like, the next cutscene is the one that's supposed to be voiced, but it is glitched. Oh, now we get introduced that now on the map there's just a little warp point that you can click on. But when you click on the city, like at the bottom here, where it was Uzume's old hideout, the entire cutscene is supposed to be voiced. But for some reason it's glitched, so most of this cutscene isn't, and we miss out on one of the best lines in the game, so I had to edit it back in. It's kind of falling apart everywhere. Is she really living in a place like this? Her actual living space is separate from here. This was like a makeshift house she built to fight with the enemy. Does that make sense? Oh, so it's like a secret hideout. It's pretty cool. Cool, huh? Yeah. Aww. You can't really blame Nepgear for being sentimental. What's wrong, Gigi? You look pale. Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just remembered a little about the first time I met Uzume. But it looks like she's not here. Let's try going someplace else. Hey, Gearsy! I'm gonna have to sharpen a sec for one particular line. Uzume! It's been a while. Man, I never thought we'd get to see each other again so fast.
Freeze, bitch.
I had to edit that back in from another voice clip, but that was just too good. But now the cutscene fixed itself right here.
Don't give us that crap about missing Nepgear. We're not here to play.
Hey now, am I missing something? Hey, she's your pal, right, Gearsy? Could you tell her to point her piece somewhere else? Gearsy?
We won't be fooled. You may have caught our sisters off guard with that routine, but that's not gonna work on us. We're too smart for that.
Please, Uzume. Please return Neptune and the others.
How could you even do this?
Hold up. What the hell are you saying? Return Nepsi? I haven't even seen her since you all left.
That's a lie. We saw you use that dark CPU or whatever to take our sisters away. If you're just gonna play like that, I won't hesitate to shoot you. Yeah, that's right. Give back our sisters. Give them back.
Did you say dark CPU just now?
What? Stop playing stupid. If you move, I'll shoot.
Shoot me, I don't care. But first, you gotta tell me everything you know about the dark CPU.
Wait, Uni! You too, Uzume! Nepgear?
Uni, lower your weapon.
But she...
Please. I think it'll be okay.
All right.
I was happy to see you again, Gearsy, but then all this happened. This is so messed up.
I'm sorry, Uzume.
You must have your reasons. Can you at least tell me what's going on?
Well, I guess we can try, Uzume. I see. I get what's going on now. I can't believe that Purple Witch is still kicking, and what in the world would Big Nepsi be doing with her anyway? It really wasn't you, right? I keep telling you that it's got it wrong, right? I don't even know how I'd get over there. If I could get over there, I would have hopped on over to Nepsi's place to hang out. This is just a hunch, but maybe the person who kidnapped Nep and the others is an imposter. But the girl we saw knew Nepgear by name. She even knew Uzume's nickname for her. They seemed very familiar with her. This is getting more and more mysterious. My head is getting all muddled. I have a question for y'all next. The person you met with the dark CPU, right? Yeah, it was what happened. Kidnapped our sisters. There's no mistake. I see. It seems like the dark CPU appearing again wasn't just some rumor. A rumor? What do you mean? Last night, one of the baby bugs supposedly saw the dark CPU, or so he said. At first, I thought he might have been half asleep and was hallucinating, but Goobs and the other monsters said they saw it too. Then, while doing some reconnaissance, Umio said he saw Gearsy and the others. So here we are. So that's what happened. Then who was the other Uzume that Uni and I saw? Well, it's clear now. Like I have said, it has to be an imposter sent to catch our sisters off guard. It's probably best both Gear and Uzume stay alert and be careful. With one mistake, you could have done each other in. We can't completely rule out that was the fake's plan either. Uzume, by the way, I haven't seen Umio yet. What's going on? Umio's gone to talk to the monsters that saw the dark CPU. We plan to meet up here, so any minute now. Sorry to keep you waiting, Uzume. Oh, it's been a while, Gearsy. Oh, Nepsi didn't accompany you, it seems. Something appeared! A fish with a human face? It is a white fish. Roasting whole is good, but manure seems to go well with it too. Creepy. Umio, I've got some bad news. The CPU has been kidnapped by evil me. I see, if that is truly the case, it's not too surprising. Do you know something? I've not confirmed the hole that connects dimensions, but in this world, where there were multiple reports last night of the dark CPU. From piecing together the various times it was spotted by witnesses, it seems the dark CPU and the fake Uzume flew northeast from here. Northeast, is it? Uzume, is there something to the northeast? There's literally nothing over there. The earths and the land's all gone. There's only void. The void? But why there? Uzume, this incident may have some connection to that phenomenon. We should accompany them. Of course, that's my intention from the start. If Nepsi got kidnapped in this world, it's the perfect time to repay my debt. There you have it, Gearsy. We'll be cruising along with you. Thank you. There's a lot of things I still don't know about this world, so I'm relieved you'll be joining us, Uzume. And now, after being completely gone for the entirety of Act 2, Uzume is joined. Initially, she is weak, because although they've upped her level to 46, or it's usually they up it to around whatever your level is, her equipment is still what she had in Act 1, and it is vastly outdated at this point. So although her level is quite high, her weaponry, her stats and everything really will feel like it's underperforming. But the moment you can get some decent equipment for her, she will be able to stand her own and is worthy of keeping in the party for a good long while. Because right now she's still got the very same equipment she had when we left Act 1, you know, back in part 16 or 17. So that's why you can see me desperately going through the equipment trying to just find stuff to give to her. Because I want her in the main party for a little while moving on, because it's been so long since we've had her in the party. But at the same time, she's not great right now.
This looks freaking cool, right? Not bad.
Also, we don't really get in a good position to upgrade the discs, like to get better demo discs for every character until like almost post game. So I just kind of partially forget about it really and go ahead. Check the scouts while you're at it. It's always worth checking the scouts, and if they're consistently bringing back nothing, you need to reposition them. Like, if they bring back nothing on occasion, that's fine because it's only percentage based. Excuse me. Huh? Me? Well, I'm sorry about earlier for pointing the gun at you and not trusting you. Oh, don't worry about it. If I were in your shoes, I'd have done the same. Besides, you did it for Gearsy, right? You realized? Knowing Gearsy, even if I had really kidnapped Nepsy, she wouldn't have been able to point her sword at me. She looks like she's got it together, but how do I put this? She's not cut out for that stuff. I understand. Even before we came here, Netgear was hesitating, saying things like, why would Uzume do that? If she really wanted to know, she should just go and find out for herself. Yeah, it's just her personality making her do that. But on the other hand, when she gets rid of all those doubts, she can be really strong. I wish she'd give more thought to the ones having to cheer her up every time. Jeez. Sounds like you got it rough, Eunice. Well, I hope we can get along now and help Gearsy out together. Eunice? Is that supposed to be me? Isn't it adorable? It's a sign of friendship. Here, and I hereby ban you from being so formal and shy around me too. I won't have it. Why? Well, it would be the fastest way to get closer to you, you know? Even if Gearsy doesn't mean it, I can feel some distance when she's so polite with me. Besides, I'm not a CPU from your world, so let's just be friends and not worry about the CPU and candidate hierarchy or whatever. I understand, I got it. I might get awkward sometimes, but I'll try and be more frank with you, like with Netgear. Let's be pals, Uzume. Definitely, Eunice. I love Uzume. Uzume in Act 3 really comes into her own. I mentioned in Act 1 that I enjoy her character, but they do her a lot better in Act 3. This is what I mean, she's just friends with everyone. Ram, I'm starting to get hungry. You too, Ram? Actually, I was getting pretty hungry too. We've been walking for a while, so maybe we should take a break and have some food. Is that what we're doing? I just happened to pack some onigiri. Would you like some? Oh, Gearsy cooking, huh? I'll take them. Here you go. I added a pretty tasty seasoning to the rice and cooking it. I hope you like them. Thank you, Nepgear. Huh? What's wrong, Rob? There's shiitake mushrooms inside. What? Shiitake? That was close. I almost ate it. Still can't get over it. Oh, right. You don't like shiitake, right, Rob? But the shiitake rice balls has lots of flavor and it's really yummy. But I don't like shiitake. You shouldn't be picky, Rob. The farmers worked hard to give us delicious shiitake, after all. Right, Uzume? Of course, that's right. Being picky isn't good for the farmer's sake. But if you keep being a picky eater, you won't end up cool like Uzume. Oh, that's evil. And you already know that Uzume's super cool because she loves to eat shiitake. Gearsy, you set me up! Uzume, you like to eat them? You don't even have to ask, Rob. There's no way Uzume wouldn't be picky. Being a picky eater is totally lame. Yeah, I'm no picky eater, not in the slightest. I am the coolest, after all. Hey, will you eat it? I just got a bit of a stomach ache today, so... Oh, so you don't really like them? Oh man, that's lame. Lame? Did you say lame? Fine, I got it. I'll eat the damn thing. You better peel your eyes and watch me eat this like the cool CPI I am. She ate it in one bite. How is it? Delicious! What in the world is this? The rice is packed with incredibly balanced flavour. Could this really be shiitake? I can't believe there's such delicious shiitake. What the hell kind of shiitake was I eating until now? I did a lot of research so you'd be able to eat it without throwing up, Uzume. I like how they play Netgear's old theme. She's right, it's yummy. But I guess this old theme's more fitting than the rock and roll that the Victory remakes did. As have you, Uzume. Yeah, looks like my awesomeness has become even more refined. Well, according to Keikaku. I theorised that Nepgear lied to them and it wasn't Shiitake at all, it just looked like it. But I'm willing to let that go.
We have arrived. This is the end of the world.
There really isn't anything here. But our sisters are somewhere ahead.
How are we supposed to go through? What are we supposed to walk on?
What should we do, Uzume?
Crap! Everyone, grab onto something! Anything!
Ah! What's shaking? It's really shaking! Ah! That was really shocking. What was that?
I knew it.
What's going on? Could it possibly have something to do with the phenomenon Umio mentioned earlier?
Oh, right. We hadn't informed you yet.
Gearsy, take a look at this screen.
These numbers. Dimensional coordinates?
That's right. A little while after you guys left, a ton of quakes started popping up all around Zero Dimension. While I was using the visual radio you modified to check out what was going on, we realized the numbers were changing, just a little bit.
Please, wait a second. Did those numbers really change?
What do you mean?
I said this before, but that number stands for Zero Dimension's coordinates within multidimensional space. A dimension's coordinates are usually an absolute number, and they should never ever change. But if those numbers have been changing, then that means the dimension itself has been moving its position.
For real? But how the hell can it move? And where is it headed?
Wait one sec. That number looks familiar. I think it was... Oh no. It can't be. These are Hyperdimension's coordinates. Zero Dimension's previous coordinates were... And Zero Dimension's current coordinates are... It's slow, but it's getting closer to our world.
What happens when it reaches it?
I don't know. It's just not possible for a dimension's coordinates to change. That just doesn't happen.
Well, it's happening. Man, what the hell is going on with Zero Dimension?
Hey, what happened with your memory loss?
Oh, that. Yeah, I gotta give thanks to the fact I can gain shares from monsters now. I've been remembering things little by little. Only, it's been things like going door to door with a wagon to sell a new game console I made. Or just when I thought sales were picking up, not being able to produce enough and having to apologize. Useless memories like that.
But even with those seemingly unimportant memories, it's great you're regaining them.
Yeah, you're right. But I'd really like to remember the name of my own nation already. Planetoon. Huh? Planetoon. That's the name of your... No, the name of my nation. That form! You're... me?
Yoo-hoo! Nepgear! We meet again. How have you been?
Neptune!
Nice to meet you, me. This is our first encounter, face to face. I don't know who you are, but that's the name of Gearsy's nation. Don't mess with me. Gearsy's nation can be traced back to your own nation, me. It's very simple.
What do you mean?
That's something I will have to remember, along with what Planetoon did to you. What the hell do you know? I know everything you don't. Yes, for example, I even know what happens when two dimensions end up with the same coordinates. I'll tell you, it's a freebie. When that happens, those two dimensions will fuse together, forming one single dimension. See? Isn't it a simple solution? Although, tragically of course, Hyperdimension will only transform to be like Zero Dimension. So, you're the one who's behind Nepsy's kidnapping and the Dark CPU! What the hell are you planning? Sorry, but I can't answer that yet. Besides, I came for something entirely different. Gearsy, could you hand over the game console you stole from Affymax?
What's your objective?
It's not very courteous of you to answer my question with a question. All you need to do is hand that console over to me.
You're the one who's been controlling Affimojos and Gold Third, aren't you?
Wow, how very smart. Yes, you're right. I suppose that's to be expected from one of Planetoon's intelligence agents.
I don't know what you're planning, but I'm not giving you the console.
Oh well. It'll take some effort, but I can just recover it later. Let's return, Neptune.
Wait! Why did you kidnap our sisters? Please return them immediately!
Oh, that's right. But I'll return them only when the time has come. They're turning out quite nicely. I'm looking very forward to it.
Wait! Nepgear, let's hurry after them. We can't let our only lead escape.
And just like that, we've met the actual main villain of everything that's happened so far. The mysterious evil voice is the same voice. I don't need to explain that to you. It's the evil voice that's been persisting throughout all 3 acts every now and then. That's Evil Uzume. Star-like objects are shining in the darkness. I never knew such a place existed. This is amazing. It's almost like a starry sky. This place is so pretty, don't you think, Ra? It's really pretty. This is surprising. But what's more important is to keep following those two, right, Uzume? Yeah, we can come later if we want to see. Right now, we got to go after my fake and Big Nepsi. And it's another Golden Summit dungeon called the Deprived Domain. And the first floor is the same as it always is. And once again, it's the same formula in each Gold Summit-like area. The first floor is pretty similar. It comes into its own on the later floors. But in this one, the correct way to go is actually the middle path, not the bottom or top for once.
Prepare yourself.
I decided to bring Escher around because Escher is my favourite of the Gold Third in terms of gameplay. Like, whether she's actually my favourite in terms of the story, I think I'm leaning more towards Seisha, if I'm honest.
How was that?
But in terms of just having in the gameplay, Escher's pretty good fun, so I'll keep her around for this dungeon.
Can't be helped.
My team going so far is the usual duo of Nepgear and Uni. Uzume, because she's rejoined, so it's better to keep her on.
Held by my arms and die.
And Escher, so we have a Gold Third representation. IF and Compa representing the Makers, or Humans, or whatever you want to call them, isn't happening, unfortunately. Like I said, they're so damn unfortunately weak that I just can't justify having them in the team. It'd be way too much of a disadvantage to essentially be going into a party with only 2 active members because the other 2 die almost immediately.
It's our chance to attack together.
And we also get a good plethora of actual normal encounters, which is nice.
That one's the next
I think the only thing we're criticising is that of Act 3, the blue grid domain we saw in the first part of Act 3, so like 2 parts ago, is like the only new dungeon design I can think of that's in Act 3.
like a bunny. Jump.
Like, technically there's Naplunka that's available to you now, but Naplunka I'm not going to bother going to till post-game.
Like a bunny.
Especially because there's 2 little cutscenes that require Neptune anyway, so it's like, well, Neptune's not in our party, so I don't think you can do them, so
Prepare yourself.
until Neptune rejoins, it's out of the question that we can do them, even if we wanted to.
Don't worry.
Because the other one that you can get access to is optional, but the other new design is optional. Because you got there's a dungeon coming up when we're in the actual, like, in the heat of the 3rd act. When we get to the 3rd act's unique dimension, because it's still not 100% there yet. That's a redesign, like, texturally, of a dungeon we've already been to. But it's still the same kind of formula. It's just the design of it's got like a red and black aesthetic instead of the white and blue. Kind of like the 2 dragons of Yu-Gi-Oh! But anyway. But the other actual new one is the Senmeo Labyrinth, which I mentioned before we got into it. Imagine the blue grid, but it's black and white, and you don't have access to your mini-map. Or a map full stop. Oh yeah, this is the point where I'm starting to go through my menus going, Uzume's a bit underpowered. Even though she's a strong level, and she is absolutely the most powerful party member we've got on our team right this second. No. She's not quite up to standard. Well, so you might have saw quite a hard cut there. I cleared out the whole of the top because there was nothing up there instead of going all the way up there fighting them and going back down. I thought that was just a time waste to keep on a video that's already going to be pretty damn long. So as I mentioned before, these parts are going to start getting consistently longer, mostly because the boss fights are insanely big. And I really should have just got the bright idea to separate the boss fights and make them separate parts, but I was kind of like, no, I can fit them in, so do them. It's just something I had to make cuts elsewhere to try and keep it at a moderate length. Like, I don't mind finale pieces being over 50 minutes, but I don't want every other part to be 50-minute juggernauts. Like I said, the optimal is anywhere between 20 to 40 minutes. If I'm going above 40 minutes, I want it to be a good reason why, like fighting a boss that's just a bit long. But if I can keep it under 50 minutes, I'd rather. And hopefully that'll be fine when I eventually finish Neptunia, because the next couple projects I have in mind should be a lot shorter, because I want to do a couple shorter projects. Because as much as I love Neptunia, I am a bit worn out of really long projects. Because when you think I did Final Fantasy 15, didn't take that long of a break in the grand scheme of it, and then was suddenly on Neptunia. Like, I love doing these longer projects. I feel like I get more into my groove with the longer projects, that I can sit back and just work on them and be committed to them for a long while. But at the same time, it's tiring, especially when it's this long. Like, it's the same with Final Fantasy 15. It's why I was kind of glad that episode Arden and some of those events weren't out when I started the Let's Play, because then I had things to break it up and change it as I went on, and it forced me to take a several month gap before episode Arden came out, because I finished the game before KH3 came out. Well, I finished the main recording before KH3 came out. Speaking of Kingdom Hearts, I would love to cover a Kingdom Hearts game at some point, but like, if I was to cover KH3, to be honest, I'm gonna wait until until it gets the FF15 treatment. I'm gonna wait until all 4 of those DLCs that are planned are out, and then once I've gone through them all, then go through it. Because KH3, I can see the potential for it to stand head and shoulders, or even superior, to Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. But the base launch of it, all the Disney worlds are disappointing. The difficulty, even with critical, is kind of pitiful. And they only really gets good in the 3rd act, and if I couldn't justify people playing Final Fantasy 13 because it only gets good in the 3rd act, I can't justify to anyone why you'd play KH3 for the same reason. KH3 is just a really boring game for the first 2 acts. All the Disney worlds are just really just there for the sake of it, or they're too big, or their stories are pointless. Especially that 3rd point. A lot of their story arcs are completely unnecessary and pointless, and make you wonder why you're there. Like, there isn't some background purpose like there is in all the other ones. Like, there isn't a background objective like seal the keyhole. You're there looking for a power-up, basically, and Sora doesn't find it and leaves the world after the plot says so. And that's how it runs for all the Disney worlds. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, the only one that I thought made sense was going to Hercules first, because it was a tie into Kingdom Hearts 2, where they wanted to find out how Hercules regained his power after losing it. So we're visiting him at the Olympus Coliseum, or sorry, just Olympus, because the Coliseum's not in 3, made sense. But other than that, But anyway, we got our boss fight coming up, and it is the rest of the video. We caught up with you, you fake! Let go of Nepsy and the others, and then you better tell us everything you know! Oh, I never expected all of you to chase me all the way here. People won't like you if you're too pushy. Sorry, but it's my nature to not let go once I've bitten down. Why don't you make this easy on yourself and give up already? Return to war immediately, otherwise I'll dispose of you. I say, getting up on 2 of us isn't fair at all. Battle is all about numbers, Big Nep Nep. My principle is that I use my chances to the fullest, or something like that. Chance, is it? But a mistaken chance is no chance at all. Urgh. This will be your opponent. Now then, Neptune, let's return. Yep, gate open! They're escaping, even after we had them cornered. You have to be 2 or 3 steps ahead in battle. If you make it out alive, let's meet again. When we do, it'll be with the CPUs. Bye-bye! Wait! Urgh. Looks like we gotta take care of this guy before we can go anywhere. Very well, I'll be your opponent. Now, despite being another shoehorn boss that really doesn't serve a purpose, Magic Owl is another boss fight that takes forever to kill. I wish I was kidding. Literally, the rest of this part is the boss fight and the small cutscene afterwards. So I immediately have everyone power up. It's a principle with Act 3, but I'll say it at the start of every boss. Have everyone power up immediately just because it stops them. And use binding if you've got Escher so you can hold it in place, so you can use positioning to a greater advantage.
I'll end this gracefully.
However, sometimes it will get to have more than one turn, so it will burn through like its status inflictions a lot quicker. Because it will burn through 2 turns worth of it instead of just 1. It's the same with Uni. If you can get Paralyzed shot in a few times, do so. I decided to go with Where You're Looking instead, just to get some nerfs in place. And just because the animation makes me laugh.
Where are you looking?
That's one thing that I find interesting. And I mentioned it in Act 2, but Where Are You Looking used to go under a different name. And they changed it either in the last game or in this one. It used to be called Charlie Horse. And they changed it to Where Are You Looking. Like, it was the exact same animation, exact same effect. It was the same attack, they just changed its name from Charlie Horse to Where You're Looking. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's just a difference in translation, or because they felt Charlie Horse didn't make as much sense as they originally thought it did, or what, but... oh well. Also, I'm very well aware that Nepgear hasn't changed her dress up since the end of Act 2. Don't worry, it won't stay. She does get a new dress up in a couple parts. It's just you're not going to see it today. The main strategy of Magic Owl is kind of in its name. It's more magic focused. So if you have members of your team who have lower magic defense, maybe don't have them because it will get more of a use out of them. It does have physical attacks though, but as you can see, its physical damage is nearly half as much as what its magic damage was. So keep your physical attackers. It doesn't matter if your physical defense isn't that high. As long as your magic defense is good, you can power through this quite a lot. But additionally, its magic defense is pretty high, so you'll be relying a lot more on physical attacks and magic. I know that's not saying much because, you know, like if you're using magic, you're going to be having characters like Rom and Ram with you. But Rom and Ram are so... like, their defenses are so low across the board that you're likely not going to have them in this fight. Because they're glass cannons. Like, they might be worth having maybe Ram about. Like, because her magic defense is pretty good, but because she's only using magic attack, you're not doing that much to Magic Owl in return. And, well, look at how much damage we've not done to Magic Owl, despite this fight already going on a couple minutes.
I no longer have doubt. Multiple beam launcher, overdrive.
Like, eventually you're going to see me just spamming the best attack every character has. So I try and diversify it as I go, but eventually I'm just like, look, no, these fights are going to take goddamn forever if I don't do this. So eventually you are just going to see me spam Celestial Severance, you are just going to see me spam Dulce Vida, things like that. Thankfully the final strike of Nepgear's attack did a decent amount of damage. The extra 1,000 makes a difference.
I will never be a memory.
Alright, just quote Sephiroth while you're out from Advent Children.
You're full of holes.
But oh, look at that. Look at how not damaging we are being. And it's not that Escher's weak. It's just, boss is just ridiculous. It's like, it's not even like a proper, like what I'd consider an important boss. It's a generic Ender Dungeon encounter. Like, it doesn't really have a story purpose. It's just here because it's here. And yet it's such a fucking defensive wall.
Guess we have to do this.
But just because it's the last act of the game. And this carries on all the way to the final boss. Like, there's a couple exceptions, and I'll make happy mention of them when they come up. But still, like, all the way to the final boss, we're going to be littered with boss fights that just take forever to kill. The actual final boss, well, both versions of the final boss, because you have to fight the bad ending's final boss anyway. The game just then continues afterwards. Because in the remake, V2R, they made it so it's impossible for you to get the bad ending. They lock off the dungeon that you could enter to end up getting the bad ending until you've done the requirements to get the good ending. But I will bring mention to what is the bad ending final boss, because it has its own theme as well to help, you know, highlight that it's supposed to be a final boss encounter.
Go talk to a wall.
Go talk to a wall. Okay, Escher.
Use this.
Speaking of Square Escher though, Final Fantasy VIII comes out in a couple weeks. I'm pretty happy about that. Well, the 8 remaster even. Because as some of you might be aware, I have been marathoning my way through the Final Fantasy games slowly but surely. I originally did the first 3, took a break for a couple months, and then did 4, 5, 6 and 7 all back to back. Which is why there was recordings on 7, like here and there thrown about on my YouTube, because 1 through to 6 I did off the Vita version, which was either the PSPs or the PS1 classics. Which, yeah, Final Fantasy VI has abysmal load times, but that's the least of my issues with 6. But after 7, I decided to take a break, knowing that 8 was likely to get a remaster, and then lo and behold, 8 Remastered was announced at E3 a couple weeks afterwards. So I was like, oh, it's a good thing I waited then. So I'll be continuing that marathon. So you'll probably see the odd Final Fantasy VIII video going up, and then eventually the odd Final Fantasy IX, and then maybe I'll return to Doomf Uck's Grand Adventure on Final Fantasy X, since I've still got that save from the livestream series that I'd long since abandoned. Like, I'd love to go back and do something with it, but I just don't have the time available to me that I had when I started the live streams, which is why you almost never see live streams out of me. I think I've done I think you can count how many I've done on one hand, I think, like outside of FF10. And then after that I'll be doing 12, and then I'll probably take my next break from the Final Fantasy series. Just because as much as I love 12, it hasn't been that long since I played through it, because I played through it when it came out on Zodiac Age. And so if I'm going to go through it again, I want to leave it a good while. And maybe when I return to it I might record it for a Let's Play, because then I can talk about 12, but I'm really unsure about that because I never 100%ed it, and there's a lot of post-game content. Like, it's ridiculous just how much post-game content there is in 12. Like, it's on a whole nother level. It's got the most post-game content than any other Final Fantasy in the series, I'm pretty sure. The amount of side quests, optional bosses, the Colosseum stuff, that 4-hour boss, I'd have no idea how I'd get around to recording if I even got to tackle it. I just didn't get all of it done, like on my blind playthrough, so I don't know how I'd handle it in a recording since I've never done half of it. And in the 13 trilogy, I'm trying to stall out that as much as possible. Not because I don't like them, because I actually defend the 13 trilogy. I like the third act of 13-1. And I do recommend it to people if you're prepared to sit through the slog of the first 2 acts. And I love 13-2. I always praise 13-2. And Lightning Returns, I never finished because I didn't enjoy it. So this marathon would be a good excuse to give it its fair dues and go and do it from start to finish. But I'm stalling because there's been floating around the rumour mill for years now about them doing a HD trilogy of the 13 trilogy and sticking it on modern consoles. And if they are going to do that, I'd rather wait around for them to do that, but I don't know. Like, they're doing quite a lot for Final Fantasy the past couple of years, which I'm really happy for. It's just whether they're going to make sure the whole series is on one platform. Because I'd love for them to put 1 through to 6 on the PS4 and Xbone, because I think you can get them on the Switch technically through like the NES and SNES connection. But right now, the only way to get the whole series is to have 2 platforms, at least. Because, well, 3 technically. Well, no, 2, because the Xbox, if you have it on Xbox One, the 13 trilogy are backwards compatible. Because the Vita holds when I can speak English, houses the first 6, and every game afterwards you can get on Xbone one way or another, I think. Like, I think even 12 was released on Xbone eventually. I might be wrong on that. Xbone might be PS4, not Xbone. FF12 might be PS4 exclusive still. I'd have to double check. Well, anyway, because this boss fight is taking forever and characters starting to tire out, I start swapping people around to try and mix it up a little. So we've got Seisha in to do her Capcom Mega Man attacks, and she's even going to do a Mega Man Warp Out afterwards, which I love that little reference. But Magic Owl is still goddamn alive, and it's been 10 minutes. In fact, it's only like just halfway down, kind of thing. Like, it's ludicrous. Why do this? You get what I mean? Like, what are you trying to accomplish here by making the boss this long? Like, that's like one of the big criticisms I have of Act 3. I love the story of Act 3. I think it really comes into its own and goes to a place I think the Neptunia series works going. For as comedic as it is, it does work when it has its darker moments. I mean, just look at the second game. The entire opening of the second game is pretty goddamn brutal, and yet it still hooks you in and still kept the Neptunia charm pretty well. And the third game had some dark moments as well, but there was a very almost immature approach to the dark stuff. And what I mean by that is that they just never took any of it seriously. Like, they'd throw some stuff at you that was actually, like, when you think about it, pretty goddamn horrific. Like, in the third game, when they get thrown into Ultra Dimension, you find out pretty soon that you can't just be a goddess or born a goddess in Ultra Dimension. You have to be chosen by a crystal. If you're not chosen by the crystal when you touch it, you become a monster. And then you later find out almost all the monsters you fought were children who were kidnapped and used to experiment on with those crystals to see if the bad guys could have a CPU under their control. That's really goddamn dark, because you've been killing children unknowingly for most of the adventure, and they completely play it off for a laugh and just push it to the side like almost as soon as the twist comes in, and it completely hurts it. Yet in the second and fourth game, like so Mark 2 or Rebirth 2, and then V2 or V2R, when the dark stuff comes around, I feel like they handle it a much more maturely. Like, they can still have a bit of a joke and poke fun at it, but they do it more with class. Like, it's genuine, making a funny moment out of a dark situation like people would to try and get through it, kind of thing. It doesn't just feel like it's being inconsiderate and just really like almost alienating. I say that knowing full well that the third game is already kind of alienating. As much as I love the third game, I think it's the second best game in the series, there's no denying that they changed up Neptune's personality for the worse, and I'm very glad they retconned it away in the fourth game, and for all the spin-offs onwards, because they made Neptune an arsehole in the third game. They just made her extremely bitchy. She always had to have the last comment, and always had something nasty to say, and was always just kind of bullying everyone, and no one challenged her on it. They tried to play off like it was funny to bully, and I was like, no, it's not. It's just like, you suck, Neptune. You're not a fun protagonist. The only thing that saved the third game was everything else, especially Plutia. Like, I really hope they find a way to bring Plutia back in the fifth game. If the fifth game actually is in development, like, I really like, they keep on teasing that there is something great on its way and like it will exceed our expectations, but I don't know if that's actually the fifth game or something else, or whether it's already been and gone. I just hope, because now the series is 9 years old, that when we approach its 10th anniversary on the 19th of August next year, so 19th of August 2020, that they have a fifth game ready to go, or they can at least announce a fifth game, like a fifth mainline game. Because as much as the spin-offs are alright, the reason why I never did a review on Cyber Dimension, despite playing it a bunch, and I've yet to do a review, nor do I plan to, on Super Nep, is because although they're fun spin-offs in their own little way, they're drastically inferior to anything you're going to get in the main series by a country mile. Like, some of them have their quirks and are fun in their own little way, but none of them are even remotely as good as the main series, which I know is to be expected, but it's kind of evident. The only thing that kind of saves Cyber Dimension is the co-op, that you can go on co-op adventures with each other, but the game's so piss easy that it kind of discourages you from bothering. And the servers are kind of, well, the servers are still active, but you're good luck finding anyone online to connect with. You're only really doing it if you've actually got someone to play with, kind of co-op. And sitting through the 5-minute load screen every time you load it up, and I wish I was joking, but I'm genuinely serious. When you click to launch the game, you have to sit through 5 minutes of loading before it gets to the title screen. Yeah, there's no loading afterwards, but it's longer than games that deserve to have 5 minutes load screen. It's longer than Red Dead 2's loading. It's longer than GTA 5's loading. Neptune's just an anime game. It's only like 5 gig, and it takes forever. It's entirely likely, even if it's not from another dimension, it's still Nep after all. Oh yeah, Big Nep left the portal open. This gate's probably connected to our base or something. Let's go, everyone. And also, the boss is finally dead. It only took us 13 minutes. Or something like that. And also, that's the end of the chapter, that whole dungeon. So we've technically finished 2 chapters in one part. But that boss is just like, why? Why is it so big? Also, you might have noticed that we haven't had any VR sections recently as well, and that's because of the plot and where Big Nep is. Big Nep is too close to the fake Uzume that she can't leave for any reason ever to give us the time of day in the VR dimension, which is what it's officially called. Huh? It's already over? Yep, they told us we was going to have a super important role. Role? I don't really get it, but I'll do my best. Let's do the preview together. Okay. But what are we supposed to say for an episode preview, Ram? I don't know either. I don't know anime like our sisters. Since this is the last one, why don't we do it a special preview? We'll end all our sisters joking around and give it a serious one. Ram, that sounds good. Then I'll start first. Ahem. Connecting wishes, ending wishes. Our story running across 3 dimensions is nearing its end. Holding hope and unease in our hearts, we travel to Heart Dimension and enter the last chapter of the game. We're not getting any more Nep stations beyond this point. But until next time, you guys take care now.